And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel and welcome to the Dice Tower. Today we're taking a look at a game from Plaid Hat Games called Guardians. Now, Plaid Hat excels at making two-player fighting games. They've certainly made, like 6 of them at this point in time. And this one is a superhero game. This is a 2- or 4-player game in which you have a squad of superheroes fighting each other throughout the city because some of them are just sticking with the government, some aren't. Some Civil War type storyline. This is not any superheroes you heard of. They have been made for this game, so they've just used these superheroes. But it's a very quick little card game about controlling areas on a board with your superheroes, making your own deck to do so. Let's see how it plays. At the beginning of the game, each player, and it's a 2-player game, there's slightly different rules for 4-player game. It's 2 teams versus 2 teams. So I'm just going to teach you guys the 2-player game, and then you can, if you get it yourself, basically you're working in a team versus team situation. But in a 2-player game, each person is going to draft 3 of these characters. So each character comes with a special ability. On that character, you'll notice a couple stats. They have life points on top of them. At the bottom here, so 10, these guys all have 10, 11, 9s, Harbinger has 12 on him. They also have an attack value, so most of them it's 3, 4, and Ronan only has 2. Although they each have a special ability, and Ronan's special ability, he gets +2 attack for each enemy hero at his location. So he's going to be probably a 4 or higher. So once everyone's drafted their 3 heroes, so let's say I get Valkyrie, and Grave, and Whiplash. Those are the 3 that I have. For each of these characters, there is a ultimate card, and you will place those ultimate cards in front of you. As well as their character cards, because you're going to be using these character cards to play the game with. That's going to leave you with the rest of their cards here. You're going to combine that with 2 intel cards, 2 reposition cards, and 2 barrier cards to form a deck. This is going to be the deck that you're using over the course of this game. All the other characters that aren't picked, which is just 2 of them, are going to be removed, and you set up to play the game. 4 location cards are placed on the board, and players are going to put their characters at the different locations. You can have more than 1 character at a location. The goal of this game is to control these locations. Each location's worth a certain number of points, 1, 2, 3 points, and the first player to get 9 points of control is the winner. There's a control token in the middle of each one. You want to pull that control token towards you if possible. So players have their deck, which I've already talked about. This is a power deck. You're going to start with a hand of 5 cards. One team is going to get, the first player gets 2 actions. After that, each player gets 3 different actions that they can do. So on your turn, the first thing you will do is you'll move the control token 1 space at each location where you have a readied hero and your opponent does not. So if you look here, I got a ready hero here and my opponent doesn't, so I move this 1 towards me. Then if I have any heroes which have been tapped, I guess is the magic term, I will ready them. I'll prepare them and get them ready to go. Then I get my actions that I take. And then at the end of a turn, if I happen to have any of these tokens here on my side, I'll take that card, score it, draw a new one, bring it out. All the characters who were at that location will stay at that location. So what can you do on your turn? Well, one thing you can do is you can simply attack. So when you attack, you just pick a ready hero that you have. You will target a hero at the same spot, and you'll exhaust your hero. You'll just do damage to them. So in this case, this hero does 3 damage. I pick someone at the same location and do 3 damage to them. If you manage to do damage equal to their health or greater, then you knock them off. Whenever you knock out a hero, it goes back to that person's hand. They'll be able to redeploy that hero on their next turn. But the good news is I get to move the control marker 1 towards me for each hero that I take out. You can also, instead of attacking, move a character from one location to an adjacent location. You might want to do that. Or you can play cards from your hand. Now, when you play different cards from your hand, if it shows this symbol on it, that requires an action to play that. Some cards do not require an action. You can just play them. They're utility cards. Here, this Intel one, I can just play this and draw 2 cards. This one here is for Valkyrie. It says if a friendly hero is exhausted, you may attack with Valkyrie. Ready a hero you control other than Valkyrie. So if I exhaust one of my other heroes, I can basically ready them and attack with Valkyrie all as one action. You notice this card shows a power symbol on it. Whenever you play a card with one of those symbols on it, you are basically going to put that on one of your ultimate cards in front of you. These ultimate cards are extremely powerful cards. Knock out an enemy hero within range 1. Move each enemy hero to Whiplash location. Do 3 to each enemy there. Knock out every enemy hero at Valkyrie's location. These are really powerful. You need a certain number of tokens on them. It costs an action, and then you turn it over. It is a one-time use card that you can use over the course of the game. But as you see, they're extremely powerful. And that's what you do. And you're just going to keep taking turns back and forth. You'll redraw your hand up, flip the cards at the end of your turn. And like I said, when a location's scored, you'll replace it. And as soon as one player gets 9 points worth of locations, that person is the winner. As always with all Plaid Hat games, I'm a big fan of the different artwork that's shown in these. These are superheroes that are going to remind you of different, superheroes from popular comic books, but they all have their own kind of spin on them. And they just have, like I said, I think the artwork is neat. They do Plaid Hat, they're just on the top of their game. I mean, this guy certainly looks like War Machine, but he's not quite War Machine. And, you feel like he's in his own little universe here that Plaid Hat has created. So these are cool. There's also lots of different tokens that are included with the game for whatever you need. There's hit points. There's these power tokens. There's ways to put shield tokens in someone. They can't be damaged to your next turn. There's ways to lock players where that player can't play any cards that match them or attack till their next turn. But there's just a few tokens, but they're good tokens. The game also has you on these 2 teams, the Loyalists and the Renegades, which gives you all the information of things that you can do on your turn, and also talks about how to move the control token and then just what these symbols mean exactly. The locations themselves, again, good artwork. My only complaint maybe about the locations is these control markers are really small and they're a little hard to see when you glance at the board where they are. I would have maybe used cubes or something like that. But that's really my only complaint. Other than that, it really is just a card game and everything easily fits in the box. So you can see here that this is a superhero game, although probably it could have been themed something else. I don't know that the superhero comes through that strongly, but I will say the characters feel vastly different. Every time after playing this, the people involved have said, that's my favorite superhero there, and for different reasons. I kind of lean towards the guy who can't move, just blowing people away with his missiles, although there's a card that lets him move too. But they all have their very unique things, but it's not complex. I don't have to sit there and go, ooh, that's a tough character to play. None of them are really difficult to play, and there is some entertaining value about having an ultimate special ability. However, I will say, to play the game well, you need to know the best time to use your ultimate special ability. Probably not necessarily right when you can. Like, oh, it's charged up, let's go. But you want to wait for that right moment where you can really swing the board towards your side. Now, this is a game of strategy and combos, and you're going to try to play cards and do really cool things, mixing your heroes' powers together in different ways. At the end of the day, though, it's just a little bit of an area control game. At the end of the day, I don't know that it adds anything extremely new to the table. It takes to put cards together from different heroes, like Smash Up does. It has cards that you get a certain number of actions per turn, as many games do. It has an ultimate ability you can charge up and play, which is not in a lot of games, but it doesn't also feel that new and unique. And at the end of the day, I wonder if this might fall into a, hey, it was fun, but I don't really want to play it that often style game. Like, it's a fun game and I enjoy it and I'll gladly play it. But will I still feel that way in a couple years, as opposed to some of the other games they put out, like Summoner Wars and such, where you're like, oh, I gotta play again right now. I will say Guardians is easily, in my opinion, better with 2 players than it was with 4. 4 is interesting. You can work together. You're using a lot. There's more heroes, so there's a little bit more harder to control an area back and forth. But The combos that you can do are neat, but it just feels like it's faster and smoother with 2 players and just simpler. I sit there, do my actions, you do yours, we go back and forth, and you don't feel necessarily like your heroes are ganged up on, which can happen in a 4-player game. But I enjoyed the game. I had a lot of fun playing it. And even though earlier it sounded like I was, being somewhat negative, I'm not. It's just that we live in an era of just amazing games all over the place. And in an era of amazing games, Guardians merely looks good. But good is not bad, and if you're looking for another alternate superhero-style game, think, Sentinels of the Multiverse, where they made their own universe. I don't know that this universe is one that's like sticking with me. I remember a few characters from this, but it's not like, oh, Valkyrie. Oh, man, Valkyrie. Remember when she flew around and did this? No, I just play with these people and attack my opponent back and forth. But sometimes that's what I'm looking for. Just a quick 2-player back and forth game where you get to do some really fun, cool combos and then move on to another game. If that's what you're looking for, you will enjoy Guardians, as I did. Dice Tower Judgment approved.